How y'all doing? This is a video that I feel I have to make. I'll be posting it on my YouTube channel. I know it doesn't have a whole lot to do with gun reviews, but I think it's pertinent. You guys coming into this particular video, if you're just looking for a gun review and you don't want serious kind of politics, then go look at some of the other videos. But just a couple hours ago, the Supreme Court refused to even look at the Texas case brought before them in regards to voter fraud and the 2020 election. Now, for those of you out there that don't think anything has happened, that there's nothing wrong, you aren't looking. You go to my Facebook page and see a whole line of things, from strange irregularities, voter dumps of 183,000 votes, 3 a.m. in the morning, all for Biden, none for Trump. Just weird stuff like that, not to mention the affidavits of eyewitnesses. Apparently hundreds of eyewitnesses not good enough, but hell, a year ago, eyewitness of kind of one guy who we didn't know who it was good enough to impeach the president. And so things moved fairly quickly after that it was announced. In fact, our GOP chairman, Alan West, has just called for possibly looking at like-minded states to form a true union based on the Constitution of what our founding fathers had. Matter of fact, I'm going to read you something. Maybe some of you heard it, maybe some of you haven't, but bear with me as I go through this. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. My God, 74 million people are not going along with this. You do not have the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government. It is the right of the people. To institute new government. You got to think about that. Laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Safety and happiness? How many Americans feel safe and happy? Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light of transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. How many people are putting up with the crap that these blue states, these governors, these tin-pot despots have put upon the people of this nation? But when the long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same objective, evinces to design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. That comes from the Declaration of Independence written by Thomas Jefferson, the summer of 1776. And how many Americans are out there are suffering because tin-pot despots in their various states have shut them down, shut their businesses, shut their livelihood, shut their whole town down because of a pandemic that is, affecting maybe 2% of the population? That means 98% of us. Now, sure, there have been deaths, but here we go. I'm already reading what Joe Biden plans to do. Look at the people he's putting in there. I just heard they're whistling up a plan of $12 trillion, including reparations, including health care for all, including, they're not going to call them illegal immigrants anymore. All right? And everything hangs in the balance to a runoff election in Georgia that can kind of be a firewall against this crazy stuff. So maybe Colonel West has an idea to get away from this blue stain that has come across this country. Because everywhere they go, they ruin it. To come up with a like-minded group of people to form a country and a union based upon the principles of the Constitution, which many Democrats have basically said is in their way. Look at how many amendments they want to challenge or change or just totally get rid of. Freedom of speech. Hell, there was a principal the other day that in his Facebook, he made a positive comment about President Trump. He's jobless now. So freedom of speech. Freedom of religion. How many people are not allowed to go to church? Despite Supreme Court's ordering that they can go to church. Freedom to assemble peaceably. Okay, so we've had some assemblies, we've had some protests. But how many times do those peaceable protests get attacked by the ne'er-do-wells, the Antifas, the BLMs? Okay, how about freedom of the press? I think if you look into it, the press is supposed to inform the voting public. A republic cannot stand by not being informed on what's going on, and the press is supposed to be the fourth estate to keep a track. Well, hell, they're all in Biden's bed. They're probably being all paid off by China, no doubt. Look what they do to Republicans. They shut that stuff down. Look at Facebook, Twitter. You watch, they're going to delete Alan West's little tweet there that he sent out. That's why people are going to Parler and Rumble. I'm going to try to put this up on Facebook and YouTube, but I'll have to go over to Parler and Rumble and put it in there. But I think that the good people of this country are getting pushed too far. I mean, look at eastern part of California and southern part of California, where they're actually GOP red part of the state. They don't feel represented up in Sacramento. They're not represented up in Sacramento. How about eastern part of Oregon, eastern part of Washington? They want to form together and form a new state called Jefferson, because they're not represented in Olympia. They're not represented by the liberals on the left coast. I don't know how this would happen, but I never figured I would see myself talking about the Declaration of Independence other than being a job as a civics and a history teacher, which I am. But to actually be considering something like that, that's a treasonous thing. But what is it they're doing? What they're doing is treason itself. You're going to find that Biden crime family is into all kinds of dirty stuff that the liberal-minded press is completely covered up. And then the FBI and Department of Justice just don't mention anything. So how can I, as a standard citizen, trust any of that? And with this screwed up election that we've had, how can we trust that we'll ever be represented properly in the future? Many people that have like-minded like me are like, there's no way Republicans will ever win another election because the Democrats are going to be able to cheat. And so what does that leave us? It leaves us with, well, the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Unfortunately, if it's come to that. I have 8 grandchildren, and I'm worried about them. And the future looks pretty bleak. And that's just my rant tonight. I don't know if it's really a rant. Is it time for patriots to take a stand? And then how do we go about doing that? Those are questions us regular little peon patriots would like to know. Then you wait until Biden comes after Second Amendment, because they know that an armed citizenry is not going to be, pushed into a corner very easily. Fourth Amendment, search and seizure, warrants. There they are wanting to go into your house without any of that. Oh, there's the Constitution in the way again. I don't know. These are troubling times. This is where God-fearing people need to put their trust in God, pray for the country, and determine whether it's time to break away. And this is Weapons Tech Max signing off from deep in the heart of Texas. God bless our republic, because we're in a world of hurt right now, and it looks pretty bleak unless we take hold of things ourselves.